Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit of the WoW podcast, Blue Please on CynicalBrit.com. Would you like to see the whole introduction to the Twilight Highlands? I'm sure you would. So you get this quest around level 84-ish. You speak to Garrosh and he tells you to go and help prepare for the invasion. And the first thing you need to do is go speak to that goblin over there and inspect these 3 Hellscream demolishers. How does one inspect them? Well, the only way that a troll knows how, and that's by kicking it in the face. These 2 work just fine, but the third one, well, let me just put it this way. They seem to have used second-rate craftsmanship, maybe taken out a few rivets here and there to save costs. Not so good. We can't let the goblin get away with that. Someone could have died, some worthy greenskin, like an orc, or more importantly, a green troll. So we shall punish him by kicking him in the face. Sounds like a good idea to me. Fix it, you slaves! Fix it! Thank you. Now, this whole series of quests leads you up to an event that takes you all the way to the Twilight Highlands. Then a bunch of stuff happens. I would not be going out of bounds to say that it is the best introduction to any zone. At the moment, every zone aside from Mount Hyjal seems to have a really cool cinematic intro. At the moment, Mount Hyjal's just like, get on Drake. Drake flies over Hyjal, complains a lot. Done. It's not great. Right, so we do this one and we're going to go hand it into Garrosh, who will tell us a great number of things, no doubt, and probably tell us to go and do something else involving the goblins, hopefully involving kicking goblins in the face. That's always a good way to start your day, I find. It's very relaxing. You have to chill out. This gives you a nice little overview of Orgrimmar. Since you're going to be flying all over the place in Orgrimmar, it would be nice to know which direction you're flying in. And, of course, the new layout. You should get a good impression of that from these videos. Back to Garrosh Hold, where Hellscream is holding court. I have to wonder if Hellscream ever actually holds court, per se. He just mostly shouts at people. I don't think that quite counts. Okay, so what do we have to do now, you might ask? Well, we shall find out. You see, Garrosh, yeah, we're done with Garrosh. Nothing else to do with him. So what we need to do is speak to somebody else. And in this case, it's this dude. So the plan is to launch an all-out assault in the Twilight Highlands. We need to prepare, and also we need to have a chart in order to get us there the safest way. Apparently the person we need to talk to is hanging around in the bar, one of several bars that we now have in Orgrimmar. This one is in the Valley of Honor. I'm going to go see what's going on there. No doubt a few of you are quite curious as to where those green shiny drakes come from that you see there, the Drake of the West Winds. You can actually get those from Tolbarad. At the moment, in the beta, this is obviously going to change. If you get to friendly with Tolbarad, you can buy honor tokens for free that'll let you go all the way up to Exalted, so you can get a wide variety of nice things, including, of course, that particular Drake. That Drake's going to be extremely common, honestly. It's going to be the Black Bear, or indeed the Bronze Drake of Cataclysm, I would think. I don't think ground mounts are going to be seen all that much, really. There's no point. I mean, you can fly around in anything, so I would think they're going to dedicate much more time to making new flying mounts as opposed to new ground mounts. I mean, why even bother, obviously, at this level? Certainly get some low-level ground mounts, absolutely. Expand that for the guys who are leveling, but no, not at this level. You know, I'll probably still hang around on my big Blizzard Bear just for the sake of vanity. Now, you go in here, and it's not entirely clear where you're supposed to go, but it turns out it's the guy at the right. I'm just going to go get myself a refreshing drink. 3 hours later, I wake up with a headache. Oh, I should have stayed away from that voodoo, I tell you. Okay, so we talk to Flame Tusk. Now, the odd thing is, when you go in here, you are sort of, you feel like you're being followed. And hey, look, 3 Twilight Assassins come up in this dynamic little event right here. They try and assassinate the quest giver. Not that that really works, let me put it that way. Although I did burn the entire bar to the ground, which I think might have been a little bit excessive. But as a troll, it should be expected. Who cares about efficient DPS when I can blow up everything? They don't drop anything. Shame. Thought maybe there would be a quest there, but no. No. So now he's agreed to help us because they just tried to kill him, and we get the map that we require. I like that. That's neat. That's the kind of thing you'd expect to see in a single-player RPG. That's the kind of thing that would happen in Oblivion, where you end up getting, say, double-crossed and things like that. For Oblivion's many faults, its questing was certainly not one of them. Has some of the most memorable moments that I've ever had in a single-player RPG. good stuff. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. More stuff like that that really gets you engaged into the story is nice. Something nice and dynamic. I don't know how it will work with multiple people. It might be phased, it might not. It didn't seem like it was phased, though. You usually get a bit of a jerk or a shift that indicates that it's phased. There was no real way to tell because there was no one else there, but it wouldn't surprise me. I suppose the argument then becomes, well, is phasing being overused, and is it just going to turn it into a single-player game? And my argument and reply to that would simply be, did you play Wrath Questing? That was a single-player game. Now, turns out the Warfleet is behind schedule, and since we've become Garrosh Hellscream's fixer for the time being, we've been asked to head over to Ashara and deal with it. So allow me to take you there. This quest also involves kicking goblins. And orcs. So if you've got a bit of orc hatred going on, you can take it out on this one. Now, uncharacteristically for Wrath, or indeed Cataclysm, these quests involve finding things that are not necessarily clearly marked. Now, Garrosh is not all that happy, because these guys are a bunch of lazy bastards. What do you expect? It's goblins. Cost cutting all over the place. Definitely not paying for overtime, I can tell you that for a fact. Unfortunately, we also have a few issues with our ground army, i.e. they are drunk in the middle of Bilgewater. Not so good. We need to go and discipline them. How do we discipline them? Well, we mostly shout. Which is good, because I'm very good at shouting. We also have a ship that is not doing so well. It's called the Foe Breaker. It is way behind schedule, and Warlord Krog is wondering why that is. And also, we need to go and sort out the Air Force, which is way behind. These guys are useless! Seriously. I suppose it's Garrosh's fault, really. He gave all the goblins a big task to terraform Ashara, but seemed to have forgotten to have them build any ships or prepare any kind of invasion force. Bloody vanity of that guy. People always say, oh, you know, all he wants is war. No, actually, all he apparently wants is landscaping. He should be on bloody Gardener's World. I'm very surprised that Ashara doesn't have a little path running down the middle. A path! Okay, that's an obligatory reference. Now that guy, that annoys me, because that guy just ran past me there. He's actually part of the quest that I'm about to go and do, and I didn't know that, and then it took me like 10 minutes to find him. What an irritating little green bastard. You know, for some reason, when I was talking there about terraforming, not that I actually mentioned the word, but I have now, it just brought back memories of Alpha Centauri by Sid Meier. Oh, such a good game. Suppose it doesn't help that the music in the background right now sounds an awful lot like Civilization music. You know, screw this, let's just go play Civ, or Schmack, as I like to call it. Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri, Sid Meier's Alien Crossfire. Schmack. Schmack 2, please. Schmack 2. Right, well, we've got to fix the Air Force. Unfortunately, somebody's run off with the Samo... Samoflange, TotalBiscuit. Quit it. Samoflange. No, I'll have 50 people complaining that I pronounced this imaginary device incorrectly. The Samo... Well, in the meantime, while we're near the Foe Breaker, we might as well check out what exactly is wrong with it. Perhaps the blueprints might tell us. She seems awfully eager for a goblin. It's a total mess. And by the looks of it, they've been taking rivets and things out of it for cost. Not good. Not good at all. So, what are we going to do? Well, I know what Garrosh would do. That should be the name of the series. What would Garrosh Hellscream do? Answer, kill everybody. Then brag some more. It's usually what he tends to do. He's a little bit thick-headed, let's be honest. He's very one-track mind. Now, where is the foreman? You lot, get down from there. Ugh. Irresponsible bastards. Trolls would never do this. Trolls are the best soldiers. Clearly. You can chop off a limb and it'll regenerate a little bigger. Don't believe it. Always nice to bully NPCs, I find. Very pleasant subject matter overall. NPCs frustrate me so much sometimes. It's always nice to kick the crap out of them. Now, where is that Samoflange guy? Sadly, it doesn't tell you. There is no description of it. He's running around all over the place. You've got to look for the goblin running around with the spinny propeller thing. So the best thing you can really do is fly around sort of at a lowish level, and you should see someone running around, and then you can grab him. However, he's not the only one running around, so that does make it a little bit more confusing, as you will see. We've got one guy wandering around there, and I thought it was him, but that's not him, so... Where is he? Don't want to know what's been going on around here. And now, to offend all Americans that don't understand regional dialects, they've obviously been out the back having a fag. Indeed. Go look it up. I am not using the optimum DPS rotation. Why am I not using the optimum DPS rotation? Because it's fun. I'd set things on fire. Flame Strike has been so underused. I feel like I need to get reacquainted with it now that it's instant cast, so I like to use it everywhere. And I make the argument, well, it's instant cast, who cares? Just ignore the fact that it's throwing away like 5,000 to 6,000 mana every time I do it. It's not the most spammable ability ever, I must say. Anyone that's suggesting to use spam Flame Strike is not all that smart. It is not designed for that at all. Welcome to having no mana. It is even less mana efficient than Arcane Explosion, if you can imagine. Okay. Dealt with. It's okay, we have 12 soldiers. We'll be just fine. You know what I really get a kick out of in this zone? Those characters right there. They were in the Goblin starting zone. You remember Jack the Hammer? Jack the Hammer is one of the guys that we beat down for one of the quests in Kezan. He's still there. You can actually remember these guys as well. They're even the same original level, as you can tell right there. It's so very cool to have a little bit of connection between characters you met at the start and characters that you see at the end. And they're much more memorable than the old ones were. It's very cool indeed. Where is that Samaflange guy? So irritating to fly around and try and find... Ah, no, it's not him. You see, he's running around. That's actually a dock worker. That's not who we're looking for. However, that was handily where I needed to be to talk to the foreman. Yeah.
Keep it real.
The little green bastard pulls a blade on me. Look at that, seriously. Nobody tells me how to run my business. Well, what if I set you on fire? Excuses, excuses. Actually, I would love you to settle it with cash. Give me 5,000 gold so that I can afford the 310 flying, and I'll be just fine with it. Yes, thank you very much. Nice to beat up goblins. Very cathartic. Annoying little bastards. Alright, so we've dealt with that. What else do we... We still got to find the bloody Samaflange guy. Where the hell is he? Okay, let's fly nice and low so we've got a good view of things. He seems to sort of patrol around there. There he is! Hiding in the bushes. Get back here. Thank you. Slap. You literally did just clothesline that bitch. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Mine. It is mine. That doesn't even look like the last Samaflange. Samaflange just seems to... Yeah. Why do we hire these people? Someone please explain why you can't get good staff these days. Goblins really are the worst slaves. Can't we have enslaved some other race? I don't know, dwarves? Nobody rolls them anyway. Dwarves are good. They're really hard to get rid of. They're very stout. You can abuse them and they work just fine afterwards. Whereas goblins tend to break. Snap very easily. They don't have a great warranty on them. Okay, we've got it. We have got it. Excellent. That means that we can finally make our way over to the Twilight Highlands. Or does it? Because you see, we have to go through a safety course before we can even board this particular vessel. That's been dealt with.
For the Horde. Well, spit it out.
And last but by no means least, the hand in right here, the pre-flight checklist. Yes, the airships have engines now. Always handy, I tend to find. Right, now we've got to head over to the Southern Rocketway Terminus, which is where the Zeppelin will leave, and it will actually start the event right here. At least it would if it wasn't broken. Thankfully, I waited about 3 days for them to fix it with another build, and then I came back and did the event, so you will notice a fairly significant change in the time. I don't know if anyone actually watches the little clock that I have in the corner there. I assume some people do. Simply for the reason that it's a little bit curious always to find out how long I had to actually spend doing this kind of stuff. Some people are genuinely interested in how long things like this are going to take. Now, the Southern Rocketway Terminus is very, very easy to find. There it is. And this is actually on a 6-minute rotation. So, if you arrive late, well, tough cheese. A lot of these events are on a time-based rotation. It shouldn't really surprise you too much. The one for Vashir is. Deepholm isn't, and Uldum isn't either. And as I recall, the Mount Hyjal one, which was extremely forgettable and barely even worth looking at, it's just a couple of quests that take you through a portal, then you get a Moonglade, and you get on a Drake, and you fly over Hyjal, and there's a bit of text, and that's about it. That is not time-based, so you don't have to worry too much about that. All of the really, really good ones, at least, tend to be timing-based, like the Vashir one and this one, which is absolutely excellent. Now, to entertain you, while we wait the 6 minutes for the Zeppelin, we have a Goblin Safety Instructional Presentation, if such a thing exists. Apparently it does, according to this. And you'll know exactly who those guys are over there. There we go. It's Assistant Greeley. And, of course, Hobart Grapplehammer, who has somehow managed to stop himself from exploding. I can't imagine how. All of this is well worth reading, by the way. It really is. I would do my best Goblin impression, but I think that's a terrible idea. I don't think we really need to put in voice acting for this. What I would ask Blizzard to do is please put in voice acting for this. Please. Because this is funny. It is genuinely well written. And with some actual comedy timing, it could be great. Of course, without the comedy timing, it could be pretty bad. We were talking about voice acting a while ago with the Vashir intro for the Alliance, where I did that rough cut to show you how the voice acting could sound an awful lot better. And there's a couple of things that spring to mind, one of which is, well, the timing probably has to be the same between certain regional language versions, so I imagine the English version has the same timing as the French, the German, the Russian, Italian, etc., etc. Therein lies the problem, because, of course, some of those sentences last an awful lot longer, so the voice acting has to have these breaks in it, and it's just not as easy to put it together. It's a real shame, though. Honestly, it is, because some of the voice acting is really nice, and it's ruined by a complete lack of timing. It's uncertain at this point in the beta if they're going to be adding more voice acting in, to be honest. A lot of it does seem to be there. I don't know if they're going to voice act this bit. But again, they should, because it's good, it's really funny. So I hope you're reading this, and if you're not, well, rewind and start reading it. Seriously, stop paying attention to me, read what's going on screen, because it's really well-written dialogue. It's not terrible dialogue, which we've seen plenty of in WoW, let's be honest, an awful lot. We've still got 4 minutes to fill. How the hell am I going to fill 4 minutes? I don't have anything to say right now. I suppose what I'd usually do on my podcast when I run out of things to say is go on some rampage about bleeding heart casual whiners that ruin the game as we know it, but I like to fixate somewhat more on the positive here, because all of these introductions to zones are really, really great. This hasn't happened all that much. There was a little bit in Wrath. I remember Sholazar Basin, you crash-landed there. That was probably the reason that I liked that zone more than any of the others. It really did get you engaged in the fact that you were sort of lost on a magical island, or in this case, in a magical basin, and nobody knew where you were. That was very, very cool. There was probably an intro to Icecrown, but I actually never did it. I never did the Icecrown zone. Why? Well, because I didn't need to. By the time I hit level 80, I had only done like a third of the quests in Storm Peaks, and I just ignored the rest of it. Why would I quest? I made all my money through enchanting and stuff like that, so I had no reason to quest in Icecrown. I didn't care about the Tier 9 events, the Crusaders Colosseum, the jousting nonsense. Ugh, that can go to hell. It's a stupid little minigame. But stuff like this. And this intro that you're about to see is probably one of the best, if not the best. Some people will disagree with me. And the Vashir one's really good as well. The Deepholm one it's pretty epic, but it's not what I would describe as amazing. I don't know, flying into the Maelstrom and then seeing Deepholm, which is such a different looking environment to anything we've seen before. Even some of the weirder stuff in the Burning Crusade doesn't compare to how cool Deepholm actually looks when you're flying down there, just gone down the Maelstrom, and you're getting a little tour, and Agatha's telling you all of this stuff. The Uldum intro is really neat because it's very innovative. You know, getting captured and locked in a cage and the way that you escape is amazing. But this is just all-out action. Aside from this calm before the storm right here and the little bit of comedy that's going on. Nice to have a bit of comic relief. A lot of people have said that because this expansion only has 5 levels and 5 zones, that they're somehow skimping on the content. They're so wrong. They are so very, very wrong with that. These 5 zones have more content than all of the content in Wrath. They have more content than all of the content in Burning Crusade. It's just a simple fact. They have made these fully fledged zones that are phased, and they've got reoccurring characters and themes and storylines running throughout, and stuff in TBC and Wrath had that as well, but there was way less phasing, and the way that they actually kept you engaged in the story was way less effective. It was mostly just text and things like that. Here it's scripted events, cutscenes, voice acting, and these reoccurring characters, and a much more radical use of phasing, as opposed to, say, the phasing in Zuldrak. And the Zuldrak phasing was kind of neat. It was cool to see the fact that, oh look, this person has now moved back to base camp and stuff like that, but it's nothing in comparison to, say, Hyjal. I mean, the phasing there is absurdly ridiculous. There's so much of it. It's really, really awesome. Uldum has some as well. Deepholm, hell, you know, the middle temple area changes entirely because you end up restoring the world pillar. That's a big deal. I think the point I'm trying to make is that as somebody who actually despises questing, and some of you might think, well, how can you despise questing, and how would you play WoW, and how did you level up in the first place if you hated questing? The answer is, with great difficulty. I quit on no less than 7 occasions before I got to level 60. Really. I did. I was sick of it. Questing is boring. It was really, really boring in vanilla as well. For all of the cool nostalgia that I've got about vanilla, one of its absolutely weakest areas was definitely questing. It was boring as sin, and TBC had a similar problem. TBC was fortunate in that it had some very interesting areas, but the quests in general were still bad. Wrath really got the questing nailed. It was much better, and Cataclysm takes Wrath and elevates it to a new level. It takes the lessons learned from that, but instead of, say, having a problem whereby you've got a lot of boring areas, like in Wrath. Wrath had loads of boring areas, like snow, 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 snow. Ooh, Shullus, our base in snow, snow, snow. So much bloody snow all over the place. And I suppose you can accept that, but it didn't exactly have the most interesting environments. Whereas Cataclysm, even though a lot of these areas, in fact, all of them are based in the old world, they're still really interesting. Right, I'm going to take a break, because voice acting time. Enjoy.
Charter course east with all possible speed. We'll rendezvous with the main fleet.
Aye, aye, sir. Sir, the fleet is straight ahead.
Match altitude and speed, Mr. Gitchell. Signal the fleet to fall into formation.
Approaching the Dandal span, sir.
Order the fleet into close formation. Keep it tight, everyone. Heart of Ogrima, you're coming in too low. Too low! Pull up! Pull down! Pull something!
Oh, the Goblinity!
The valley should mask our movements. Stay low, stay close. I don't want to see any more mistakes.
Fellow warriors of the Horde, hear me now! Ahead hides our foe, worshippers of chaos who seek to remake the world. A new world is coming, friends, but it is not the world of their design. Together, we will crush the Twilight's hammer, raise their stronghold, salt the earth, and burn the bodies. All will tremble at our might! Then we will stand astride this world as its masters, united in our conviction, unrivaled in strength, beholden to no one. Today, we will remake the world, our world.
Coming up on the Twilight Highlands.
Horde! Look, dwarves! They sulk like prairie dogs in holes in the ground.
Captain, sir! Alliance naval fleet sighted off the port bow!
The Alliance steams in close formation without escort! Air Guard, attack! Strafe them now while they cannot maneuver! A winner!
Mr. Gintram, signal the fleet. Defensive formations! We're without our escort. I want to see interlocking fields of fire! Now! Now! What? What?
It's an attack!
Guns! Man the guns! Fire everything we've got!
Unbelievable. One of the best scripted events I've ever seen in WoW, if not the best. That's so very goddamn cool. Welcome to the Twilight Highlands. Oh, I hope the rest of the zone's up to scratch, I tell you. Now, I will try and get you the Alliance version of this, because I've been told, of course, it is completely different, as you might imagine. It's going to require a pre-made character, but I'll see what I can do about that. I've heard a few ways of getting that sorted out. Hopefully you enjoyed that. That was a little bit longer than I intended, but no doubt people will complain about that, as they complain about short videos, long videos, medium-length videos. Yes, I think I've noticed the universal constant of the internet. Never mind. Oh yeah. Purple skies of doom right above us. I'll see you next time.